This is the Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation. Sa bagong Pilipinas.
Good evening. This is 13 News.
Let's get into the headlines right now. Signal number 1 raised over at least 12 areas across the country due to the super typhoon Inday, with several local government units already suspending classes for tomorrow.
Day 3 of impeachment trial was marked by the defense subjecting the first witness to intense cross-examination.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. leads the launching of the nationwide school feeding program in Pulilan, Bulacan.
Breaking tonight, the Sandigan Bayan issues warrants of arrest against Senator Marcoleta and others for alleged violations of Presidential Decree number 46.
And also tonight, President Marcos Jr. administers the oath-taking of Benhur Abalos as the Cabinet Secretary.
All these and more, here on 13 News.
First in the news tonight, on day 3 of the impeachment trial, the defense subjected the prosecution's first witness to intense cross-examination, challenging the video evidence behind the alleged grave threats made by Vice President Sara Duterte.
During the proceedings, Senator judges questioned the authenticity of the video presented as evidence, prompting the court to caution against making premature conclusions. The full report from IBC News correspondent Earl Tobias.
On day 3 of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, the House prosecution panel dismissed the defense's argument that there is no actual contract to prove the allegation that BP Sara hired an assassin to kill the president. The prosecution says this is unrealistic.
Wala pa ako nakitang nangyaring gano'n, no? Na kung saan ang isang kriminal ay may kontrata. No? If indeed the person is a assassin.
I'm sure wala pang nakagawa na may written contract relating to the hiring of an assassin.
The prosecution opted not to conduct a recross of its first witness, NBI agent John Mark Calilong, as his testimony remained intact and that the prosecution had clearly established a pattern of threats. But some senator judges questioned Calilong's testimony, particularly the authenticity of the video showing VP Sara's alleged grave threats, asking if it was real or AI generated.
The video itself, it's 2 hours long. Normally, an AI-generated video will only last a short second, sir.
Will you be able to say that the video presented yesterday were AI-generated or authentic?
The video presented today is what it is being seen on the Facebook, sir.
Because of this, presiding officer Cheese Escudero warned his fellow senator judges against drawing premature conclusions before the trial runs its course.
We'd like to remind the senator judges to be cautious in making counsels for either party make conclusions of law or through direct, cross, redirect, recross. Because if he answers Senator Judge Ontiveros, that would effectively place on record a conclusion of fact and law.
The prosecution also said the defense's presentation of videos featuring OVP Chief of Staff Attorney Zulaika Lopez worked ultimately for the prosecution's favor, as it justified their decision to subpoena Attorney Zulaika Lopez as a witness under the alleged threats made by VP Sara.
It made Zulaika Lopez, Attorney Zulaika Lopez, very important, no? Which means justifiable yung paghingi o pagsabpina ng prosecution kay Attorney Zulaika Lopez.
Meanwhile, the Vice President's defense team said it was satisfied with its cross-examination of the prosecution's witness. The prosecution, on the other hand, maintained that it is far too early to conclude that they had gained the upper hand in the case. They also said it is premature to discuss the required vote threshold for a conviction at this stage of the impeachment trial. Earl Tobias, IBC News.
Day 3 of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte focused on the cross-examination of the prosecution's witness, with senator judges raising questions about the authenticity and completeness of the video evidence presented in the case. As legal issues continue to surface, questions remain over the strength of the evidence, the fairness of the proceedings, and what these developments could mean for the impeachment trial moving forward. And to help us better understand today's developments, we are joined by political analyst Professor Eric De Torres to discuss the legal and political implications of the case. Yes, good evening, Professor Torres. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, and thank you for having me in your show.
Okay, Professor, one of today's key developments was debate over whether the video evidence presented by the prosecution, how did this affect the strength of the prosecution's case, especially after questions were raised about the video's authenticity and completeness, since the video was not played in full?
Well, of course, the way that we intend to look at it as such is that it somehow would strengthen basically the position, because if you will notice, this is basically on public record, or you can access this video in basically any social media platforms. So the way that they were actually looking at it is how authentic basically is this video. Was there alteration? Is this AI generated? So the burden now basically of being able to authenticate this as such is based on the prosecution, and at the same time on the witness itself. So we can relatively say that, of course, the witness is also quite competent, because he had a long, standing experience in being able to stand as a expert regarding the said matter. So this is actually a very important, consideration once established that indeed the video was actually authentic, because it could somehow strengthen the claim or the prosecution's case build-up about the said Article 4.
Moving forward, Professor, the camp of Vice President Sara Duterte has also questioned Senator Judges Escudero's authority to preside over the trial. How significant is this legal challenge, and could it affect the momentum of the impeachment proceedings?
Well, of course, to begin with, as I've always argued in some, shows and, interviews as well, that there's really a question with regard also to the integrity, and the whole proceeding, I think, is in terms of integrity as such, precisely because we all know for a fact that Senator Escudero himself is also, one of the key individuals basically who are allegedly being involved in the whole flood control program. Well, we can relatively see that, of course, because of his legal background, he has the capacity, basically, he has that legal lens to basically, preside as, the presiding officer of the impeachment trial. But I want to make a clear point here, whether or not this would stand basically in terms of the integrity of the Senate as a whole and the integrity of the whole impeachment trial. Because, the perception of the people really is that how are you supposed basically to build and strengthen that integrity of the whole impeachment trial when in fact your presiding officer, his credibility is already questionable on the outset?
Yes, and after the 3 days of these hearings, what has become clearer about the direction of the trial? Are we seeing a primarily legal battle or a political one?
Well, I would like to believe that, of course, the front load or what we're seeing is basically a legal battle, a legal, arguments, and we could relatively see the legal prowess of both sides. Both lawyers of both camps are actually very much competent and very much capable, and a lot are thinking who wanted to pursue or take up either political science, legal management, even pursuing law. But at the end of the day, I think that whether we like it or not, it would be that decision and it would be that positioning that it will just be definitely a political exercise.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, Professor Eric De Torres, and we hope that you would be able to join us as the trial goes along. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Super Typhoon Inday has maintained its strength while moving westward over the Philippine Sea east of northern Luzon. According to Pag-asa, the center of Inday was last spotted 1,705 kilometers east of central Luzon, packing winds of 195 kilometers per hour, as well as gustiness of 240 kilometers per hour. It will remain as a super typhoon within 24 hours. Gradual weakening is possible afterwards. Pag-asa further said that Inday will move northwestward while at Philippine Sea and will later approach Ryukyu Islands and northern Taiwan. It will exit the Philippine area of responsibility on Saturday morning or noon. Tonight, signal number 1 is raised over Ilocos Norte, Apayao, northern portion of Abra, Kalinga, eastern portion of Mountain Province, eastern portion of Ifugao, Batanes, Cagayan, and other parts of northern Luzon. Furthermore, expect rains with gusty winds due to Inday, particularly in Catanduanes. The super typhoon is enhancing the southwest monsoon. That is why there will be cloudy skies with scattered rains in Zamboanga Peninsula, Barm, Palawan, Antique, and the rest of Visayas and Mindanao. While here in Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon, expect cloudy skies with isolated rains due to localized thunderstorms. Based on the forecast of Pag-asa, there is an 80% chance that it's going to rain in Metro Manila tomorrow, while a 100% chance from Friday throughout the weekend. It's important to note Metro Cebu as well as Metro Davao, as there will be a 30% chance on July 9, as well as a 60% chance for Metro Davao, followed by 100% chance in Metro Cebu on July 10, as well as 70% in Metro Davao. On July 11, there will be a 80% chance in Metro Cebu, as well as a 60% chance on July 11 for Metro Davao. Finally, for July 12, there will be a 60% chance in Metro Cebu, as well as a 60% chance also shared by Metro Davao. And tonight, government agencies are now bracing for the impact of Super Typhoon Inday, with local government units already pre-positioned with food packs and response equipment. IBC correspondent Ezra Abad has the story.
Rains poured over parts of Sarangani today. The province is among the areas in southern Philippines affected by the southwest monsoon, intensified by Super Typhoon Inday. But the northern provinces are expected to bear the brunt of the storm, including Batanes and Cagayan. The strongest impact is forecast tomorrow until Friday. In response, government agencies are on high alert, ramping up preparations for Super Typhoon Inday. In Cagayan, where signal number 1 is hoisted, the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council Office has readied water equipment for possible deployment. Hygiene kits, first aid supplies, and medicines have also been pre-positioned. As a precaution, the Coast Guard District Northeastern Luzon has also enforced a no-sail policy along the coastal waters. The Philippine Coast Guard regional posts are also prepared to deploy personnel in case of emergencies. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture is urging farmers to harvest palay and corn that are already ready for the picking to help protect crops and minimize losses as the storm approaches.
Justifiable yon in the sense na marami tayong inaasahan na challenges. So gusto rin natin ma-assure na meron tayong enough volume. At ang isa pang justification doon, mura yung presyo sa ngayon pa rin sa international market ng bigas.
The Metro Manila Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council emergency meeting also discussed disaster preparedness and readiness of government units. This is in line with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s directive to strengthen the government's disaster response. MMDA Chairman Don Artes led the session with national agencies and local disaster officials, where they identified flood-prone areas, relief supplies, and landslide risk. The MMDA said rescue boats, food packs, and emergency equipment have been readied. Ezra Abad, IBC News.
Classes have been canceled in several areas tomorrow, July 9, as Super Typhoon Inday continues to trigger heavy rains across the country. In Aurora, classes have been suspended in all levels, both in public and private schools. In San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, all face-to-face classes have been suspended and shifted to alternative learning mode. In Mimaropa, Culion, Palawan, Barbaza, Antique, and Negros Oriental, all classes have been suspended in all levels in both public and private schools.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the launching of a feeding program in Bulacan in observance of Nutrition Month. He later led the celebration of government-owned or controlled corporations day in Malacanang. IBC News correspondent Harley Valbuena has more on the president's latest activities.
Eating twice a day made Egelin's daughter underweight.
Wala kayong choice kasi parang pagkakashare nyo na lang yung...
These heartbreaking words from Egeline reveal the harsh reality of poverty many Filipino families continue to face. This reflects a bigger national concern as child stunting in the Philippines continues to rise. In response and in line with Nutrition Month, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. launched the school-based feeding program and milk feeding activity in Pulilan Central School in Bulacan alongside a simultaneous rollout in public schools nationwide. Under the program, kindergarten to grade 1 students as well as malnourished students from grade 2 to grade 6 students receive nutritious meals like milk, banana, mangosteen, and hot rice meals.
Kaya tinanggal na natin yung problema na yan. Ang pamahalaan na ang tutulong at ang pamahalaan na ang magpapakain.
Malaking pasalamat po namin, sir, na nasali po yung isa kong anak.
According to the Department of Education, 26 billion pesos was allocated for the school-based feeding program. During the feeding program, the president said that most pending wage hike petitions may be decided by September following the approval of 85 peso minimum wage hike in Metro Manila.
Sa buong kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, ang pinakamaraming pagtaas ng wages dito sa lalo na sa Metro Manila ay sa nakaraang 4 na taon, nakapag-sobra na tayo sa 200 pesos lahat-lahat.
After his engagements in Bulacan, the president led the government-owned or controlled corporation or GOCC Day at Malacanang, where he lauded them for driving national growth. This year, 50 GOCCs declared over 147 billion pesos in dividends to the national government.
And every peso that you have remitted strengthens the government's capacity to deliver better services without imposing additional tax burdens on ordinary Filipinos.
The chief executive also welcomed at the palace executives of Amazon Web Services during a courtesy call to discuss the company's proposed investment in the Philippines. This includes the possibility of establishing an AWS region in the country. If realized, the proposed investment could bring up to $5 billion over the next 15 years. Harley Valbuena, IBC News.
Meanwhile, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos led the distribution of 10 kilogram of quality rice to around 3,000 families in Muntinlupa City. This is part of the initiative Mula sa Puso para sa Pamilya program. One of the beneficiaries from the raffle draw, Nanay Belia, received rice 3 times at 3 different categories. The First Lady hopes that this initiative could help ease the burdens of the families in Muntinlupa. Meanwhile, the First Lady also led the turnover of over 40 patient transport vehicles in Mindanao. The Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Officer, PCSO, turned over patient transport vehicles that aims to navigate rough roads and reach remote communities. As of today, PCSO has successfully distributed over 2,000 ambulances to cities and municipalities across the country, a milestone never before achieved in Philippine history.
Tonight, former Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos formally took oath as the Cabinet Secretary. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. administered his oath-taking at Malacanang. Abalos previously served as Secretary of the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG. As Cabinet Secretary, he will advise the President on national, local, and international issues and coordinate with government agencies, local government units, and other sectors. Abalos will also lead the Strategic Action and Response Office. Coming up next, the Department of Education will launch active shooter drills in schools nationwide. Stay tuned. This is 13 News.
Flavors worth craving. Stories made to inspire. Restaurant every Friday at 4 p.m. on IBC 13.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, will begin implementing active shooter drills in schools nationwide following the recent school shooting in Tacloban City. DepEd Secretary Sani Angara said the drills will teach students the proper protocols to follow during an active shooter situation, with the official launch set for Friday. The program will also include psychological first aid for victims and witnesses of school violence, while the Philippine National Police will assist schools in responding to bomb threats.
The Sandiganbayan 4th Division has issued warrants of arrest and hold departure orders against Senator Rodante Marcoleta and former Congressman Mike Defensor. This is in connection with their alleged violations of Presidential Decree Number 46, which prohibits giving or receiving gifts among public officials. The court directed authorities to serve the warrants at the detention facility. Such violation is a bailable offense. Separately, the Sandiganbayan 6th Division has ordered the consolidation of the PD 46 case against Senator Rodante Marcoleta and Jose Espiritu, with the plunder case pending the court's 3rd Division, subject to the latter's acceptance. Right now, Senator Marcoleta remains at the PNP General Hospital facing non-bailable plunder case. This after doctors said he has mild pneumonia and degenerative disc disease. He will undergo rehabilitation therapy and remain under custody until he receives medical clearance to be transferred to the new Quezon City jail.
Meanwhile, a parked Philippine Airlines aircraft was struck on its wingtip by a Saudi plane during ground maneuvering. No passengers or crew were on board the PAL aircraft at the time, and no injuries were reported. According to New Naiya Infra Corporation, the incident did not cause major disruptions to airport operations. The aircraft has been withdrawn from service pending a technical assessment. PAL assures the public it is working with regulators to ensure safety and compliance. Meanwhile, the affected aircraft will remain grounded until cleared for service. Here's a quick sports recap. 2 Filipino athletes have recently captured record-breaking international wins, as EJ Obiena posted a season-best performance in Greece, while Carlo Biado clinched the title at a major billiards tournament in Indonesia. Starting off with Filipino billiards world champion Carlo Biado, who captured the crown at the 2026 Predator Indonesia International Open in Jakarta. Biado edged fellow Filipino pool player Paulo Galito in a thrilling finale ending in a close score of 10-9. The victory gives Biado momentum heading into his week's Asian Pool Championship in Vietnam. And over in Greece, EJ Obiena cleared a season-best 5.81 meters despite finishing fourth at the Fly Athens pole vault meet. The two-time Olympian was part of a five-way tie with vaulters from Greece, the Netherlands, Turkey, and France, who all cleared the same height. Meanwhile, football superstar Lionel Messi inspired a late comeback as Argentina rallied past Egypt to reach the FIFA World Cup quarterfinals. The defending champions sealed a thrilling 3-2 victory and will return to action in the quarterfinals on July 11.
The U.S. announced that its ceasefire with Iran is over during the NATO summit. Meanwhile, a high-rise building in New York was evacuated after suffering a structural failure. CJ Reyes has more on these international developments.
Leaders and delegates from North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO member states gathered in Ankara, Turkey for the 2026 NATO summit. It focused heavily on defense and security amid rising geopolitical tensions across the globe. During the summit, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that the U.S.-Iran ceasefire was over following U.S. retaliatory airstrikes after the Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz.
To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte called the strikes absolutely necessary. Meanwhile, international oil prices surged more than 3%. A high-rise building in New York City was evacuated after bent steel columns were discovered by construction workers on multiple floors, raising concerns over the structure's stability. The building was undergoing renovation with plans to add 16 more stories. New York's insufficient structural reinforcement caused part of the building's north side to bend and partially collapse. Meanwhile, history was made at Wimbledon as Serbian tennis player Novak Djokovic defeated Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime in a thrilling 5-set quarterfinal. The match lasted for 5 hours and 15 minutes, making it the longest Wimbledon quarterfinal in history. CJ Reyes, IBC News.
Before we wrap up tonight's newscast, we bring you the results of the PCSO's 9 p.m. lottery draws. For the Mega Lotto 645, the winning numbers are 13, 5, 30, 25, 22, and 11 with a jackpot price of 15 million pesos. For the Grand Lotto 655, the winning combination is 20, 32, 48, 52, 46, and 54 with a jackpot price of 66,672,826 pesos and 45 centavos. For the 4D Lotto, the winning combination in exact order is 6, 0, 1, and 8. For the 3D Lotto, the winning numbers are 3, 7, and 6. And finally, for the 2D Lotto draw, the winning numbers are 3 and 11. There is one winner for the Mega Lotto 645, while no winner for Grand Lotto 655. Confused by all in the Latin terms used in Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, we got you. Here are some of the terms and what they mean. These Latin legal terms highlight due process, jurisdiction, and the unique nature of impeachment as a legal political proceeding. First off is ab initio, which means from the start. Subpoena duces tecum is summons requiring to produce evidence. Subpoena ad testificandum is the summons requiring to testify. Culpa, which means culpable violation. Ad cautelam, meaning with caution. Prima facie, meaning at first sight. Quasi-judicial means as if or exercising judicial functions. Res judicata, which means a matter already judged.
If I didn't know any better, William, I think that you nailed those pronunciations very well.
Yes, that's true. But then it's a good thing that we actually have these things to help the public understand better.
Yes, agree.
Okay, and those were the latest from the IBC Newsroom this evening.
We'll continue to monitor the stories that matter and give you updates as they develop. I'm Angela C.
And I'm William Thio. This is 13 News. Thank you for watching. Good night, everyone.